Hello everyone, I'm Anna, your cinephile host. In Hollywood, there are quite a few movies that contain the name of a country in their titles. We have Congo, Rwanda, Cuba, China, etc. Australia is also on the list, and the movie is even more dramatic because both of its leading actors are from Australia. Nicole Kidman plays Sarah Ashley, who lives in England, but was forced to travel a long way to Australia in order to bring her husband back and to sell out their cattle station, Faraway Downs. Her husband hires a stockman drover, played by Hugh Jackman, to get her on the harbor front of Darwin and to drive her back to their cattle station. But Drover is a vigorous and unrestrained person who is notorious for fighting all the time. When Sarah arrives, he's fighting as usual against a big guy and unintentionally uses Sarah's luggage to hit his opponent. Sarah's underwear, though, spread all over in the air like fireworks. Nevertheless, Drover drives her back to Faraway Downs. But she unexpectedly finds that her husband is murdered by a spear shot through his body. Later on, she recognizes that the manager named Fletcher is a suspect for stealing their cattle and being involved in her husband's murder. Sarah angrily fired him. While she is worried about how to move her 1,500 animals to Darwin to sell, Drover coincidentally appears. Sarah's husband promised Drover to give him the job and pay him to drive his cattle to Darwin. Drover asks Sarah for the manager Fletcher, but the answer he got is like a bolt out of the blue.
Damn! Do you realize what you've done?
Mr. Drover, do not take that tone with me. Thank you very much.
Don't take that tone with you.
No.
I'm asking.
Drover is angry with her decision to fire the capable man, but he accepts the reason if Fletcher stole the cattle, and he likes her offer of a black stallion for him to breed. Drover gathers the other guys in the station, including the little magic man Nala and Sarah, and they move up. However, the bad guy Fletcher heard the news and began to sabotage their relocation. He frightens the cattle with fire that makes the animals run blindly. Fortunately, as the livestock heads toward the cliff and is about to fall to death, Nala uses his magic power to calm down the animals and stops them right before they push Nala down from the cliff with them. After the incident, they drink to relax and to celebrate. With the magic power of whiskey, Sarah and Drover realize they have feelings for each other and they start to share their love and life.
Do you have children?
No.
Well, that's a shame. I think you have made a great father.
Their love is burning, yet their voyage seems to be burning out of luck. Since Fletcher has poisoned the water ponds along the way, they have no better choice than to cross the land called Never Never to get water for them and the cattle. Thanks to Nala's grandfather King George, he leads the way to get water and to cross Never Never with his singing.
Sing.
He can find his way anywhere. The ancestors created songs for everything, for every rock and tree, and they're all linked, so when Gulliver, the magic man, sings them in order, he'll sing us to water, even across the Never Never.
Never Never is a big land almost impossible for living creatures to cross. It is normal for people to believe that crossing over Never Never means heading to death. After they march into Never Never for days, the news reports that Sarah and her group lost their lives there. The military officer in charge of beef purchasing is reluctant to buy cattle from the biggest cattle company, though there is no other option left. He then signed the contract with Kearney Cattle Company, but a miracle happened just in time. Sarah, Drover, and Nala arrive safely at Darwin, and Sarah offers 20% cheaper than any price Kearney Cattle Company is asking. Although the military officer signed the contract with Kearney, he excitedly announced that the contract is conditional.
But this contract is not binding until the cattle are loaded. Load the bloody cattle now!
We've got to load the cattle on the ship for Kearney.
In the battle of loading the cattle on the ship, Drover, Nala, and Sarah get one step ahead of the Kearneys. Thanks to their success, Drover later agrees with Sarah's request to be the manager of Faraway Downs. Sarah decides to stay in Australia and keep running the business. As a result, Nala is able to stay together with them at the cattle station. But later, the bad guy Fletcher instigated the police officer to arrest King George on the charge of murdering Sarah's husband, and Nala was sent by the church to a small island for children. Soon after, the Japanese invaded Australia as predicted. In an air raid, the Japanese bombed the office where Sarah was working, and nobody knows if she is alive. King George was released before the oncoming bombing. Luckily, Drover changed his mind and saved Nala from the island, and Sarah was found alive. 3 of them stayed happily together. At the same time, the wife of Fletcher was killed in the bombing, and he lost all of his fortunes. When he finds out that Nala is happily staying with Sarah and Drover, he furiously decides to use a rifle to kill Nala. Right at that moment, King George found out his attempt and used his magic power to kill Fletcher with a spear shot through Fletcher's body, exactly the same way Fletcher killed Sarah's husband. Sarah, Drover, and Nala live at faraway downs where they are safe from the Japanese invasion. In the end, Nala is called by King George to walk about as a magic man. Sarah and Drover stay together, so it's a happy ending. And you could learn about the Australian accent in this movie. Though I have to mention that the way Nala speaks English is not grammatically correct, but he dares to speak and people understand. That's the most important of all. I'm Anna. We have more Cinephile episodes on Funday website. Go and explore.
Don't do that, don't do that.
Do what?
The thing you do when you get a head full of ideas.
It's like crossing the Curraman.
Come on, mate. You don't know what you're talking about. Running a station, manager? I'm a drover, right? No man hires me, no man fires me.
So you don't want to go to the ball?
Ball? Sarah. I'm as good as black to that mob up there. Right, I mix with dingoes, not duchesses.